Hi everybody, this is Devin with Arm Wraps here to show you our template and how to install a vinyl wrap for these Numilk commercial machines here. So this first part of the video, it's going to be an unlisted video with chapter markers. So this first part of the video is going to be me going over the template, and then the second part of this video is going to be me actually showing you how to install one of these sticker kits or one of these wraps for these units. So let's go ahead and just get started. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of the template, the file, how you're going to see it, and how you should design inside of it, and then we'll move into that installation portion. So the very first layer here on this template file is this cut lines layer, and it says leave locked. So what that is actually these red outlines that follow the body line of the machine, and that is actually vector cut information that helps us cut the wrap to the specific shape of this machine here. So while you're designing in this template file, you can turn that on and off to kind of get rid of it for a moment, but please do not unlock that layer or move it or anything, because we need it on top and we need it to stay vectored so that the machine can follow those vector cut lines. Next layer we have here is our safe area. That safe area there denotes the flat surfaces and where it's safe to put logos and other design elements that you do not want to have get cut off or wrapped around edges that are only partially visible. So for example, I will turn on the example layout here that I have in the template. If you see this fresh plant-based milk at your fingertips, this text right here on the side of the unit, that is right here, and it's inside the safe area. If I made it any bigger, it would actually wrap around the curve, and if you were looking at the machine from an angle, or for example, if the word your came farther outside out of the area right here, it would actually wrap around the back of the unit and not be legible from this angle. So that safe area right there denotes kind of the flat face where it's safe to put things so they don't curve or get cut off or anything. And again, this is a layer above the artwork layer where you'll put your artwork in. That can be turned on and off so you can kind of see what your artwork looks like without it. So next layer is your artwork layer. That's where I want all of your artwork here. That way it covers up and hides all of the other layers in case we don't have them turned off, if you don't turn them off before you save your file, or if we forget to before we go to production. The body and the bleed and everything will be hidden. So your artwork should all go inside of that layer right there. It doesn't need to be locked necessarily, it just keeps everything right there. That way we know what you actually want to be printed. Below that, I have this. It should be turned off by default in the template, but if it's not, you just hide it. This is actually the example artwork, the exact file that I printed and used in the next portion of this video, which is the actual installing of one of these vinyl wraps. So you can see in a kind of one-to-one, if you want to jump back and forward from this part of the video to the end, or based on this picture right here, you can see what each one of these portions of the wrap corresponds to on the finished unit over here. I also have those labeled, I believe, yeah, right here in the legend, and on the body tells you, like, here's the top, that's the back edge, that's the front edge. Kind of each one of these is labeled so you understand what part of the unit you're designing. So, and again, that is just hidden in here just to give you a point of reference. Below those are the legend, obviously, and I'll go over some information here in the legend in a second, but it just gives you explanations of what each one of the layers does and what our different colors and elements and everything of the template are, just in case there's any confusion, and notes on how you should rasterize and include your artwork in here. I'll go over that again in a second. I'll just finish going over the layers real quick. So that's the body of the unit. That's the actual portion that the wrap will be, the finished wrap size will be. And then here's our bleed area. It's a good idea to just extend any background colors, background graphics that you don't mind getting cut off out to the edge of this pink area. That's just in case our machine gets a little bit off in one direction or another while it's cutting. That way you don't get like a little sliver of white vinyl off the edge where you don't want it to be. So extend all your graphics out to there. Okay, so I want to go over some design do's and don'ts real quick for these units. So you'll see later in the video I go over, or while I'm installing it, there's a little bit of a misalignment here. That has now been fixed. I'm actually filming this earlier part of the video after installing the wrap on the unit. So the little bit of misalignment that happens between these two panels has been fixed, and it won't happen with your unit when you wrap it. So you should, for the most part, be safe to put graphic elements between these two panels right here. As I kind of demonstrate this with these coffee beans, and I showed that in the install video, or the install portion of this video, what that looks like. So you're okay to do it there, but I would avoid doing it between the backs and the left side, or the back and the right side, or even right here, because these cut lines aren't parallel with each other exactly. But the reason I say to avoid doing that in the design is because, and I mentioned this further and to kind of demonstrate this in that installation section, but there's a taper that has to occur to allow for the 3D shape of this graphic. So while the pieces are close touching down here, the gap opens up, and this part in the middle here, outside of the red outline, is going to get cut off. So if you design this as is, when you actually put it on the machine, that's what ends up happening. So you can, if you want to try it, get really fancy. This top line across the template is perfectly flat to the top of the machine. So you could have a design element come here, hit the red line. You could measure exactly how far that is from the top, and you could come over here and measure down this red line to that exact spot and continue your graphic. You'd have to do splits and duplicates and clipping masks and stuff. Not saying it's impossible, but it is really tricky, and I don't see much benefit to doing that in the setup. So it's just a lot easier and a lot cleaner to just keep your graphics separate from back to the side. The one thing you can do that's really easy is if you want something like a horizontal breaker bar, some kind of color, or something like we have over here in the example graphic, these do line up with each other on the finished unit, specifically because they are parallel with the top of the unit right there. So you can do that if you so choose in your design. But I believe that is it. Oh, the last thing is if you are designing in something else that is not Adobe Illustrator or some other design software that will keep these layers and keep the vector information that we have in this, then what you'll have to do is kind of keep 2 copies of this document. So you can take a copy of this, import it into, say, Adobe Photoshop, design on top of it, and then what you'll have to do is save that as a Photoshop design file and import it into this document. This document has to come back to us as a PDF with this layer information, so that in the end I can get rid of all of these things, and I will still have this vector cut line, which is required for our machine to see and cut this. So like I said, again, you can design in Photoshop. It can be raster information inside of this artwork layer right here, but it does need to be in this Adobe Illustrator PDF so that the cut line is above the artwork and it can be cut. So that is it. If you have any questions, you can contact us. Give us a call, 208-696-1180, or shoot us an email, info@rmwraps.com. But otherwise, that should do it. And I'm going to put a transition in right here so you can see how we actually put this wrap on the unit. Anyway, let's get to the actual graphic. So this is what it's going to look like as it shows up to you. This is taken straight off the printer. It's got some production marks for alignment. It still has the bleed on here, but if you can see, it has been cut. And for ease of shipping and keeping everything cohesive and not to have the edges of the vinyl get possibly damaged during shipping, we're actually going to ship it just like this. So all you got to do is, it's actually been perf cut. So what I like to do is pick up my corner of my vinyl, find where a piece has been cut, hold down on it, and just give it a little quick pull like that, and it starts to come out. And then the easiest way to get the cleanest pop out of this is to pull whatever edge you're weeding away from the material that's staying. So it just kind of goes like this. You just give it little tugs and it will pop out. In between these 2 pieces, because these 2 are so close, and I did that because that's about the size of the gap that it should come out on the machine when you install it. This little gap here can get thin, so I'll show you what can happen. If I get this pulled out here. Yeah, so sometimes you'll get that. That's totally fine. That's just the backer material getting separated from the face stock. This is all get thrown away anyway, so it may also fray and leave little pieces. Again, you can like pluck those off if you want. If not, it's not a big deal. It's just the backer material that's going to get thrown away anyway, just protecting the glue while we wait to get the pieces on. So I may speed the video up right here and just get all these pieces popped out. but I'll show you. We're also going to give the machine a quick clean here before we start wrapping, but I'll get the rest of these popped out here. You'll also have where the little screws are. So up here on the top of the machine, that piece goes there. The template does include, if you can see it, the little relief has been left or cut out of the template to leave the screws revealed. We did that just in case the machine has to be serviced. So there's 4 here on the top, and then this one has been U-shaped cut out of the back right here, but that one also has a little relief punched out. So you'll have, if you just kind of bend the vinyl a little bit and give it a push, those little dots pop out. So there'll be 5 of those in total you have to do. You can decide if you want to at the end. You can save these and actually kind of peel them and stick them back in place if you want. You'll lose them, like they won't survive being pulled off the screws if the machine does have to be serviced for some reason, but you can decide to do that if you feel like it. Okay, so one other thing before I kind of toss our holder here is all of our files print with a little thing right here, and that will be your file name. Whatever design you send to us, whatever you name the file, will actually get printed right there. So my suggestion is if this is based on customer store number or a PO number or something, we're going to process orders through the website and through production with the same number. That way we can kind of track a one-to-one to just keep everything straightened and organized, and make sure that, you know, if for some reason there's some kind of file confusion, or there's a big run of multiple shipments, orders that are going to the same place or different places, if there's any kind of issues, or if a vinyl gets damaged and we need to reprint, you know, there's so many different reasons we might need to pull back up and reproduce the graphics. So this will be right here, so you can actually confirm before we even go to install what the file name was to make sure you got the right graphic for the right location. So otherwise, once you've got that off, this is all just scrap, so you can throw this away. So because we're going to be shipping graphics that way, you will need a pair of scissors to separate the backer to make install a little bit easier. And then we will be including these little in-house made squeegees. They're just acrylic with a little bit of felt on them, but they have a little QR code scan on there. If you've never worked with sheets of graphic before, you can scan that. This is actually for our big sheet graphic installs for refrigerators and stuff, but it's just a quick little video, shows you the proper way to follow these arrows to minimize air bubbles in the vinyl. The vinyl is also air release, so if you get this whole sheet on and it looks all great and it's lined up perfectly, but you got a bubble way up here, you don't have to peel it back off and risk stretching the vinyl or getting things misaligned again. Basically, the vinyl has channeling inside of it that allows you to actually rub on the vinyl and to push the air out, to get the air out of the vinyl without having to like poke holes or anything. So, okay, I'm going to, I won't worry about these little dots because I want to show the relief of everything as it goes onto the machine. So I'm just going to chuck these or set them aside. Next thing we want to do is get your machine clean. Just in case it's got any like oils or residues. I mean, you don't know, especially if the machine's already been in service in a store for a while. But even if it's brand new, it can always have like mold release chemicals on it to pop it out of the injection molding and whatnot. So we like to use this stuff. It's invisible glass cleaner. You can get it on Amazon. It's basically Windex, except it does not have ammonia in it. So the big thing with ammonia is ammonia will dissolve the glue that's on the back of these vinyls. So we don't want to obviously have that happen, otherwise the vinyl will fall off. So you can do soap and water, you can do isopropyl alcohol, anything that is ammonia free that will allow you to just kind of give this a quick, you don't have to get super crazy thorough or anything. I'm just making sure that fingerprints and oils from our skin and mold release agents and anything else that might have come in contact with the plastic that might compromise the glue is taken off of it. So like I said, don't have to be super crazy thorough. I just want to give it a quick wipe down with something that isn't going to leave its own kind of film or residue on the unit, and isn't going to take forever to like dry. So just quick and easy like that. Okay, so what you're going to do, oh, actually I'll grab the side that I'm looking at, is I like to, if it's possible, if the machine's not hooked up to a water line or anything, I actually like to work on it with gravity helping me out. So I like to lay the machine down, and you'll see me work here, and then I'll flip the unit up. I'll probably flip it over to get to the back too, but working with gravity, you can also, I mean, you don't have to work from the top down. I just kind of have gotten used to how I'm doing it, but the main thing we're going to do is get the graphic lined up. My template's not perfect, but it's pretty darn close. So you're just going to kind of see where the vinyl lines up to the curves of everything and matches the body lines and that sort of thing. So when you're ready to start going, you've got your machine clean, what you're going to do is take your vinyl and you'll peel this backer off. So this backer's, it's papery on one side and plasticky on the other. You can kind of hear there's little channels in there. You can hear my finger scratching them. And then that gray right there is the actual adhesive. So that is what's going to stick the vinyl to the machine. So what you're going to do is peel it back just a little bit like this, and then actually cut part of this off. Doesn't have to be any particular amount, really. It's just enough to give what we call an initial tack. So what that does, rather than peeling the whole thing off, if you were to do that and then stick it down, it's going to stick. It's not a slidable adhesive. So as you can see, actually, it already, just me doing that, stuck down like that. So what that allows us to do is just get a starting spot. So what I will do, once I've got that set up like that, is I will come in and line the graphic up. And what I'm looking for here is just a slight reveal to try to get the camera to show it. The vinyl is not going to touch the gray of this piece of plastic right here. It's actually set about a 16th or somewhere between a 16th and a 32nd off. Something like that. And it'll reveal a little bit more from this edge. Just, I didn't want to be bumped up against this piece of plastic in case the cover does have to come off. But I'm just going to work my way around the machine, make sure I'm actually looking kind of here along this curve. All right, and just making sure that everything looks more or less lined up. There's a little bit of wiggle room adjusted into here with reveals of everything, so you don't have to be super crazy exact. If you're having trouble moving it around, it'll just be because it touched down. You just got to lift it back up. If it really sticks, you still should be able to, as long as you only did like ½ inch, be able to pull it back up without too much trouble. It doesn't create a super strong permanent bond for a couple days, so it'll still stick very healthily. It just won't be to the point where it will like stretch the vinyl or leave glue for a couple days to a week. So I'm going to get myself lined up there. I kind of like that spot, and what I'm doing is I'm using my hand to hold this down, and then when I'm happy with the placement, I will just push down on that strip. You don't want to curve it all the way around the edge like that yet, because you can't get the backer material out from underneath it. So all you want to do, oh, and I've actually got, looks like just a little piece of dust underneath there. There we go. So I'm just basically tacking it to the flat part before the curves start. And then from there, I'll take my squeegee, flip the vinyl up, and it's now hinged because it's stuck right there. You can grab the backer material and lift it away. And as long as you stayed lined up, use your squeegee, start working the vinyl in. And again, if you got to here and you realize that you weren't aligned, you can. I would be gentle with it, because once you have a large contact area, you can risk stretching it, but you can slowly work the vinyl back up. And you could take it all the way back off, touch the backer down to it again, and reposition it if you had to. I'm lined up pretty good, so I'm just going to continue with it. Okay, once you're there, squeegee doesn't help a ton on the curved surface, but you can just use your fingers and just work your way back and forward. Make sure you're not leaving any air bubbles. And I can actually lift that up and try to show that about right there. As you can see, we've got like a 1/16 of an inch before it rounds over to the inside of this spot right here. Try to show that. So there is, sorry, I'm looking at my screen on my phone and what the camera showed at the same time. So you can see it's about a 1/16 inch there, which is about the amount of gap we left right there. So then we'll do the same thing on the back side for this back curve. Just working my way back and forward until I get all the way to the edge of the vinyl. So there's that. That piece is on, just like that. Nice and easy. You can just keep your work very tidy. Take your backers, throw them away as you work on it. Let's see, I'll grab the next piece here. So here's your next piece. And I'll probably go over this again in the template kind of description at the start of this, but, and actually as I'm saying this, my template is ever so slightly misaligned. I may do a tiny little adjustment to bring that 1/16 of an inch back over here, but doing graphic alignments is a little tricky, even between these panels like this. So as you can see, if I wanted to stick with my 1/16 of an inch reveal right here, my coffee bean's actually a little misaligned. And it's just the nature of this thing being tapered and not having access to the CAD files and everything. We got pretty darn close, but it's not exact. So luckily, because we have a little bit of adjustment here, I can actually slide that forward and get it closer. And if we're looking at the back here, there's actually a mold line, which is where I initially took these pieces and lined them up with that mold line right there. It won't be perfect. It will space itself somewhere about a 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch in front of that mold line, but that will help you get at least lined up for the most part. And then what I'm looking for in here is to just get it centered between this plastic gap and this plastic gap so that it doesn't go over either one of these. I was going to originally bring that graphic down here as far as possible, but what I found is because these are two different molded pieces of plastic, they sit flush with each other on some spots, and one sits underneath or above the other in other spots, and it was a very visible seam right there, and the vinyl didn't want to overlap it very nicely. So we're stuck going this far, but it still comes out pretty good. So once I know, like I double check this, it's going to line up good enough. I'm going to do the same thing with the scissors. So I'm going to peel the backer just an inch or two, and I like, just for the ease of installing, I like doing this end, going from the little skinny piece, going this way. You can do either end, it doesn't really matter. This one's easier because it goes to a flat spot, it doesn't go around this curve. If you did this end, you'd have to stick the curve first and come over. So I just like to start at the flat spot. It doesn't have to be straight or exact or anything, it's just something to give you a first tack. So I'm going to double check. Basically, I'm always using a hand because this paper backer is pretty slippery. So I'm always using a hand to kind of hold it in place and then make an adjustment over here or over there. And then as I find I was stuck down, so I'm gonna lift that back up. And then once I kind of have that stuck, I come back over here. I'm double checking that I didn't twist or misalign or anything. And yeah, we're pretty darn good. So I will, in the final version of this template we get ready to send out to customers, I will adjust that back just a little bit. Squeegee. Then just double check it, go over with your fingers to give it you can feel better and get an idea of if there's any bubbles or anything with your fingers versus the squeegee. Just gives you a little bit more tactile feedback. But so there is that piece right there. Keep moving. So I actually found, because of the power button and cord and everything, you have to pull it off the table just a little bit to do that guy. But actually I think what I'm going to do first is get guess we could do this in the top, and then I'll come back around and we'll do this piece last to see the fitment on that guy. Okay, so let's get our top. So top, same thing. It's a little awkward to get it peeled here, and cut, so I like to cut off the back. And actually, I'll show you what you can do if you want to kind of do some prep work ahead of time, is you can actually cut this but not peel that piece away straight away. If you got nice sharp scissors, it'll just give it a slide, and you can actually take that piece, line it back up, and it won't 100% bond back to the vinyl, but it does pretty good. It'll hold for a minute. So you can just come in here, and I'm just going to double check what I'm looking at here for you guys. You can see where it lines up here around the 4 screws. And you can see where you could put those dots back in if you wanted to. Yeah, so we're looking pretty good. So what you can actually do here, in this case, because I already pre-cut that, hold down one side, lift up the other side, and peel that little piece away, and then just tack it down. And now it's set. You don't have to worry about it adjusting anymore. And then we can do the same thing. Lift it, come back. Always check it with your fingers just because you get better tactile feedback. Make sure you didn't leave any spots unadhered with the squeegee. So top's nice and quick and easy. Tidy up real quick. And then we can do here I'm calling it below the front handle, basically. I don't know what we'd call that part, but so always just going to double check the pieces, make sure they fit. We're nice and good. For this one, again, kind of like for the top, because it's awkward to get 2 different little horns peeled. It's awkward to get both these peeled up and try to tack that way. Plus, it's easier to work with gravity, so I actually like to do the bit that goes underneath the handle. So that'll slide up, and you're just looking for kind of an equal reveal all the way around. So this black here around the sides, and then make sure it's not tilted and showing more black here or there. And then when you get it to a spot that you like, just push down on that tack spot, and that's where it's going to land. There is I'll try to get up underneath here and show it. I tried to go up as far as I could to here. There's like a little hinge mechanism up underneath there, but I would use your finger to kind of go up in here, and you can feel a little roll of plastic. It's really subtle, but just make sure that vinyl is fully tacked in there, just because people are going to be probably grabbing it like that. I don't know if anybody's really going to grab without their thumb. I wouldn't. I'd be grabbing it like this. So just want to make sure it's tacked down inside of there. Okay, so I find it easiest to be able to work on the front of this thing with it standing up. So what you'll have to do, because of the waterline hookup, obviously if you're flipping the machine around like this, you want to have the waterline hooked up, but you don't want to sit it on the power cord and cause kinks or anything. So I slide it off the table a little bit and then flip it over. That way you can still sit here and work on this front edge, but nothing gets kind of sat. It's not sitting wobbly or anything funny. So this next piece is going to be the trickiest to cut, just because what I'm going to try to do is get it lined up here and go half and half. And what you have to do that is you have to get 2 cuts right here in the middle. It won't be too bad though, because you can get it peeled enough where you can kind of get it separated like that, and then basically just do 2 straight cuts, make yourself just a little strip to come out of this. Once you get one, it'll let go, and then you can just do a second one. So you're gonna create a reveal just like that. And then what I'm going to do here is get it eyeballed close to center, and you're gonna hold it around the edge and look at how close you're getting to this piece, and then look how close you're getting to this piece. And I'm actually a hair oversized, just a hair oversized. So I will probably adjust that down just a little bit more here in our final version of this template, just because I want a little bit of reveal for adjustment of those 2 side pieces. But that actually probably came from me sliding the 2 pieces forward. So when I adjust this and pull that back a little bit, I will probably also pull this back about 1 millimeter, just so we don't get any overlap. It'll look just a little bit cleaner with everything uniform. But you just sit here and slide this back and forward and get it as close as you can, and then tack that down. So now it's not going anywhere. I'm just going to show. These are probably going to bump to each other in this video. Final versions of this template, I'll pull it back about 1 millimeter. So there'll be a little black gap just like this to kind of get the look uniform between everything. Oh, and I'm actually, if you sit here and look, I'm actually high here to here. So I'm actually going to pull it back up. Try not to move it. Try to get it to slide. The vinyl is very forgiving as long as you don't have the whole thing stuck down, but it can be a little bit of a pain to get it to slide. Okay, I'll double check this one. Yep, okay. All right, so this one, it's a little awkward to use the squeegee, so I'll just do it by hand. Make sure I'm giving enough pressure to stop the vinyl from lifting up. And if you have a little thing like this where they're touching, usually if you run your finger along that edge, it'll get them, even the backside of your fingernail, it'll get them to gap like that. You shouldn't have to do that in final versions of this. We're still fine-tuning little bits here and there, but we're pretty darn close. And then same thing here. I'm actually going to... Yeah, that one needs just a little bit of a trim, and I'm trying to persuade the vinyl to go back in there, but we will get that changed. Okay, and then that just leaves us the back, which I actually haven't put on yet, so we're gonna see how close I can get on my measurements on first shot. But, so here's back of our machine. Actually going to maybe crouch here and adjust you guys up just a little bit. Okay, so same thing as before. We're going to sit here and get you lined up. And actually, it looks like I could widen this out just a little bit. We can get that reveal a little wider. But what we're going to do, I'm going to cut this backer here, and we're going to just center it between these 2 pieces. Yeah, I can widen that out probably 1.5 millimeters each side, something like that. But I'm going to cut my backer here just to give myself that starting spot. And this piece will be nice and easy. You can work on this vertical here because it's gravity will help you pull this piece down. I'm just going to line it up with my screw holes and then grab the top gently. Try not to get it to move on me too much. And get it centered between the 2 pieces. Okay, so yeah, I was a little low on that piece, but not too bad. Make sure. Yeah, actually, I think I need to move that screw hole up, but not bad actually for a first shot on the back add-on. And then same thing applies as all the other pieces. Oh, get the squeegee. And then just work your way down. So that's how that would go. As you can see, even with kind of a set of experienced hands and leveling off all of my design stuff, I was just a hair off between these two sides, and there's not a perfect way to, because I'm doing the two sides in separate pieces and getting close but not exact. There also could be imperfections in the, gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? If the machine itself is not an exact mirror, all I did was design this side and then mirror it. But if there's imperfections or if it's not a pure reflection from one side of the machine to the other, the graphic's going to have little slight misalignments. So in general, I go over this again. I probably should have, I'm sure I will have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but this is the only way I would do graphics around the machine, is if they are parallel with the tops, and even then it may be just a little bit off. Try to get the camera to show that. It's a wide angle lens, but I was just a hair off there. But so final version of this, I will adjust that out, and that little guy there for the front, I'll suck it in just a little bit so we get a clean break on everything and to allow for little imperfections in the alignment of the graphic. But otherwise, there she is. I'll try to get a little walk around here of it.